Hello, everyone. I'm Kamraun.
And I'm Billy. Welcome to the Horse Frog Podcast, home of your two favorite professional digressors.
Today, we will be discussing Book 4, Chapter 22 of Memories of Ice, a novel in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. This is part 1 of our coverage of this chapter.
This podcast series is intended to be a companion to reading or listening to the books set in the Malazan universe. It's not a book review, and it's most definitely not a replacement to reading the books. Just Kamraun and I both know that this series is the best fantasy story ever written, and we're approaching this from a purely fanboy point of view. And there's not much critique on the series, just other series probably, but not Mr. Erikson's series.
We'll be covering the events of the books in a linear fashion. There will be spoilers for those that haven't read the books. We'll try not to spoil anything prior to us covering that portion of the respective book.
A quick warning, today's episode contains descriptions of adult topics not suitable for children, but seriously, when has this show ever been for kids? I guess it's not. The intros? Are the intros kid-friendly?
Up to the disclaimer, at which point well-behaved children will look at their father who is in the room and turn it off.
That is amazing, sir. I am still bowled over by that. That's just absolutely amazing.
Our show is listener-supported. If you'd like to support us, we'd really appreciate it. You can do so by visiting our Patreon link on our website at horsefrogproductions.com. Currently, we're posting ad-free episodes on Patreon weekly.
Also, we really like to hear from you, and we really do mean that. So send any feedback or comments that you have to contact@horsefrogproductions.com.
One thing we should have asked ourselves last week when discussing how the consistent theme in this book is that night chill is a problem, is the question that naturally comes up, what if Calor is right about Silver Fox?
You know, it's a very good question. And I don't want to even say this because at the moment, it's like I kind of feel, it's like, well, you know, Calor may not be wrong. He could very well be right in this situation. It's one of these kind of things that even, you know, you get even a broken clock's right twice a day, you know, so sometimes Calor's got to be right sometimes, you know, it's like everyone's just kind of surprised. Well, maybe Calor's right.
Yeah.
Dadgummit. He always rants. We just quit listening to him. We just shut him out. He's ranting again. You know, it's like,
yeah, Calor, enough. We heard it before. Enough. Not this again.
It's like, dude, enough. It's like we've been hearing this for 6 months now. It's like, shut up. Shut up. It's like don't by the way, don't let Calor know that he's right. It's like,
I was thinking about how we had been mentioning that Tattersail is not manifesting as far as we can tell. Silver Fox hasn't been very nice to the Talani mass, refusing to agree to set them free after they're done with this situation.
Yeah, and the Talani as well.
Yep, refusing to release the Talani, who just got caught up in the vow. And then just her general nature of how she's treating everybody around her.
It's a really crappy demeanor, doesn't she?
Yeah. Now, I will say, what Calor is proposing, obviously, Silver Fox was a child when this first conversation happened, where he wanted to deal with it then. Obviously, right. Whiskey Jack wasn't going to stand for that, you know? Mm-hmm. And now it's too late to do anything about it, even if they wanted to, really. Who knows how powerful she is?
Dude, she's got the flat-eye mass. I mean, that's a pretty scary thought right there.
Yeah. So it was just a thought I had while I was editing last week's episode. I was like, yeah, we should have asked ourselves this. What if Calor is right?
And from what we see, and I, you know what's funny, as from this series, I'm not sure if we'll ever get a satisfying answer to that. Or to anything Silver Fox related. I'm not sure. And again, this is an Erikson thing that I myself preach to a lot of people about the fact, you know, we've gotten so used to having every little thing tied up always. And I've gotten so used to that too. It's like sometimes it does kind of drive me nuts, but sometimes it does add layers to it. Again, to a man who likes layers, Mr. Erikson, it adds another layer to it, you know, that it doesn't necessarily have to finish.
Some of these layers that you feel are unfinished here are finished in the Esselmont books. I don't want to say which, because that could lead to spoiler territory.
Yes, sir. Any
further comments on Silver Fox? I have moved along, sir.
No, because you've read further in the Esselmont. I mean, I think I'm like 4th or 5th book into that stuff. I forget where I am. It's the one I told you where I think it's a sail or so. I think they're stuck in the jungle. I'm stuck in the jungles of Jukuruku.
Yeah, that's Blood and Bone.
Okay.
And then a sail is the next one.
Okay. I'm having a hard time getting through that one, dude.
Yeah, jungles are always tough.
Right? Why? Why?
No one wants to visit or live in a jungle. Let's just be honest.
Is that what it is? It's just,
I think so.
I don't know why I get so slogged down in that stuff, and it's like, I don't know what it is, and it's just like enough already. It's like, I'll take desert and sand and everything over jungle and wet and everything. I don't know why.
Yeah. So you have a combination of The Mummy Returns and Diablo 2 in the jungle with the pygmies. That's what it feels like. It's oppressive. It's so terrible.
It is. This is a huge digression, especially so early in the show, is that KP and I were driving today and we were talking about something, and the weather being so oppressive, it's like we're talking about that in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 74. The heat, it's filmed in August in 1974 in Texas, in Austin.
Oh, wow.
So it was like 100 plus degree days when they filmed that. And so when I watch that movie, it's not just that the people are so crazy and seem like we're watching a genuinely crazy movie about really crazy people doing really crazy things to people. It's the heat is so oppressive, and being a native Texan, you feel it. And it is also like another horrific element in this film.
Yeah.
It's wild, dude. I've never seen that in a movie where Apocalypse Now, it's also a sweaty flick.
All right, chapter 22, part 1. Above him, the Seer Damon's voice said, mindless panic, alas, makes her twitch. I believe it has grown excessive of late, Holy One. The Panion Seer shrieked, do you think I can't see that? Do you think I'm blind? The Seer Daman rumbled, you are all wise and all-knowing. I was simply expressing my concern, Holy One. He can no longer walk, and his breath seems so labored within that malformed chest. Talk thought, he, crippled, crumpled ribs like skeleton hands closing tighter on lungs, ever tighter. Seer Daman, this is me you'd describe. But who am I? I'd felt power once, long ago. There is a wolf, trapped in this cage, my chest, these bones. Yes, he cannot breathe. It hurts so to breathe. The howls are gone, silenced. The wolf cannot call. Call. To whom? I'd rested my hand once on her furred shoulder, near the neck. We'd not yet awakened, she and I. So close, traveling in step, yet not awakened. Such tragic ignorance. Yet she'd gifted me her mortal visions, her only history, such as she knew it to be, whilst deep in her heart slept my beloved. It sounds like Talk's condition has worsened with time. It was bad enough already the last time we saw him.
Yeah, this is one part of the book I tend to always remember, like we also remember the Maib sequences, and it's different because, and I'm assuming it's the same for you, because Talk is a person that we like, even though we don't really see him a lot, other than to get horribly abused.
Yeah, he just pops up and we just see him degrade over and over again.
Yes, and this one, but his chest is malformed. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's been knitted together, crushed, knitted together, crushed, knitted together. It's just not even trying to be nice. It's just kind of healing him up, keeping him alive. It's just, it's awful sounding.
Terrible. The Seer Daman said, Holy One, your mother's embrace will kill him, should he be returned to it. The seer hissed, you dare order me? And there was trembling in his voice. The Seer Daman said, I do not command, Holy One, I state a fact. And I was thinking, this is likely the same Seer Daman we saw in a prior chapter, the one that relayed the story about his father returning from his fishing trip to find his family lost to the Panion cult.
Yeah.
It appears that he has taken to Talk and is trying to help him, even if that help comes in the form of ending his torture.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on in this man, and I'll discuss this. We'll talk a little bit more about this later on in the chapter, but I agree with you. I think it is most assuredly that same one, or they just keep using the same term for him and adding more. It's like you know how Mr. Erikson does it. We start off with the name. Now, a few characteristics is that he's actually kind of being compassionate to one of our favorite characters, or one of our characters we hate seeing abused, and so it's like that makes me like him already. Because he's at least, well, you may be responsible for him being here, kind of, but thank you for trying to help him.
I do get the distinct feeling that this guy was swept up in what was going on at the time within the Daman. It's one of those situations where there's some core there that it doesn't sit well with, but he doesn't really see an alternative.
Yeah, and I feel the same way, especially when you put it like that, Kamraun. I hadn't thought about that, especially if this is the same fella. His dad came back to see his family part of it. And the kids, they're kids. They're going to do whatever your parents are doing. So if you come back and mom's joined this group, it's like, the kids, they don't really know. They just, how it is with these kids. So he's probably pretty young when that happened. So you're right.
Yeah, it almost feels like the mom lost her mind. She was shrieking.
Yeah.
In that scenario, you got the predation on the children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awful situation.
Definitely. The seer shouted, Ultentha, dearest Septarch, come forward. Yes, look upon this man at your Seer Daman's feet. What think you? Ultentha said, Holy One, my most trusted servant speaks true. This man's bones are so mangled The seer screamed, I can see! Ultentha continued, Holy One, relieve him from his horror. The seer screamed, No, I will not. He is mine. He is mother's. She needs him. Someone to hold. She needs him. The seer daemon said, Her love is proving fatal. The seer said, You both defy me? Shall I gather my winged ones to send you to oblivion, to fight and squabble over what's left? Yes, shall I? Ultentha said, As the Holy One wills. The seer shouted, Yes, Ultentha, precisely, as I will. It's pretty ballsy of both of these guys to state the facts to the seer, seeing as he appears to be completely unstable and unpredictable. He sounds like a dictator that's never had someone say no to him.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the original In-Laws?
No.
It's just a slapstick comedy about two in-laws. One's a supposedly ex-CIA, and he's caught the dentist, soon-to-be in-law, in his plans to stop international inflation due to some craziness from this madman in Tejada, which is a knockoff of some, Dominican Republic style thing. And he's about as crazy as that man. It's what's pretty funny. And to stand up to him requires some boldness. And it's what's bad is I try not to laugh because he's so crazy, but he reminds me exactly of the great dictator. I don't know what his name is right there, but he is, oh my word, it's hysterical. He has a hand puppet.
Oh, wow.
He talks with the hand puppet.
That evokes South Park, Mr. Hat.
It is. It's that kind of hand puppet. And this is from 79.
Okay.
So this dictator is like that, and it's that crazy. And so this guy, but he's perfectly that same kind of crazy. You have to look up those scenes of his craziness. It'll make you laugh. They're just totally stupid. It's PG stupid. It's funny.
What comes to mind is The Last King of Scotland. You ever seen that? With Idi Amin?
No.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. I've been wanting to. I forget about that.
Some of the behaviors in there, he's just really scary. This doctor gets involved with one of Amin's wives, and then there's this ritualistic dismemberment of the wife, and then they hang the doctor up by these hooks from his it's very Panyan Daman feeling of the way the whole situation's handled. So I don't know if I recommend that movie. It was pretty disturbing. But it's that type of behavior that I'm getting from the seer here.
Yes, and that's just every day. That's just your everyday kind of, not mad. I think that's just him kind of on an everyday crazy.
Mm-hmm. The seer daemon asked, Shall I return him to the matron then, Holy One? The seer said, Not yet. Leave him there. I am amused by the sight of him. Now, Ultentha, your report. Ultentha said, The trenches are completed, Holy One. The enemy will come across the flats to face the city wall. They'll not send scouts to the forested ridge on their right. I will stake my soul on that. The seer said, You have, Ultentha, you have. And what are those damned great ravens? If but one has seen, Ultentha said, Your winged ones have driven them off, Holy One. The skies have been cleared, and so the enemy's intelligence is thus thwarted. We shall permit them to establish their camps on the flats. Then we shall rise from our hidden positions and descend upon their flank. This in time with the assault of the mage cadres from the walls and the winged ones from the sky, as well as Septarch Inal's sortie from the gates, Holy One, victory will be ours. Those winged ones, it's been a while since we heard about the great condors. Those things really freak me out.
Well, yeah. We know they can chase off a great raven, but if it's an equivalent thing, then size, man. A condor to a regular raven is, so are we looking at the same kind of increase in powers and size?
I think when we last discussed this, we came to the conclusion that they were around an 18-foot wingspan, something along those lines.
Big, but the great ravens are about that big, though, I thought. Or at least I was under the impression that
they're pretty big.
Size.
Something about ravens, maybe I have a soft spot in my heart for them compared to condors. I'm just not real big on those types of birds, I guess. The carrion birds.
Yeah, agreed.
Maybe it's just some type of innate dislike.
I think you're right. But what's bad is the great raven is more of a carrion bird than a condor.
You think
Aren't
so?
They?
Are they?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely. Yes. Especially the Bible talks about the fact that the feast that these boys will be having in the end times.
Oh, that's right. The feast for the crows. Right. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it's unfounded.
I just don't. I'm like you because I think of the. Do they have vulture? Vultures have the nasty neck and beak.
Condors are very similar.
They're the Skeksis.
Yeah, that's childhood trauma. That's exactly.
I think you nailed it right there. It's the Skeksis.
Dude, you nailed it. That's exactly what the problem is. Oh, man.
Oh,
That's
do we
great.
need to explain this Skeksis? I can't explain them.
It's from Dark Crystal, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the movie The Dark Crystal from the 80s, the bad things were these vulture-looking bipedal creatures. I was young at the time when that movie came out, so obviously it left a pretty large dislike for me. Now, the main characters were kind of goofy looking too, so it's not... That whole movie's kind of freaky. Yeah.
I don't know where I see. I'm older than you, so I've seen it at a different time in our lives. And I saw it where it made an impression, but I don't recall at the time if I really truly liked it. It's one of those movies I remember liking. There's several movies I enjoy concepts of, and that was one that's like, oh, this could be so great. It was a Muppet movie. That was the big deal about it. It was it was a Jim Henson.
Jim Henson, right?
Yeah, straight up Jim Henson movie. So it's like the Muppets on acid on a high fantasy tale, and the Skeksis the Skeksis are the ring wraiths of that universe kind of deal. They're spooky as all get out, man.
Yeah. And then the other one that messed me up was the Gamork in the Neverending Story, the wolf thing.
I have not seen that, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm a little, at our age, this is where Chris, my beloved KP and I, we have some differences in our love of 80s stuff because I'm just enough older that it's like, Goonies. Are you a Goonies guy? You like Goonies?
Oh, of course.
I don't. I've never seen it. I've never had a desire to see it. She loves that movie. And, so there's so many things that y'all are more alike. It's just something that it's an age thing. And also it's my parents' influence on my movie. Like, it's very odd. I have a love of BBC, down to my father liked that dark 70s sci-fi stuff like your Logan's Run, Soylent Green, Omega Man kind of stuff. And so, original Battlestar. So I'm warped by all these things. And then I'll have a healthy love of film noir and mystery at the same time. So, so I have a hard time. And so my likes are just, it's a little odd. I don't know how to describe it, especially why it's so different from.
I don't know. I mean, there's some overlap for me because I remember watching Omega Man with my mom when I was younger.
Okay. Right on.
And my dad, he was heavily influenced by the movies he watched growing up in Iran. So some Western movies would come over there, but there were some Westerns that we'd watch together. And then Where Eagles Dare, those type of war movies, The Great Escape, that kind of stuff.
Those are guy movies.
Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
Guns of Navarone.
Yes. I love it. Yes, I love all of those. Yeah. I can sit down. It's like, I actually just bought, not that long ago, I just bought Where Eagles Dare. Because it's like I've been needing to take that ride. And did you play, remember that one Wolfenstein where there is a Wolfenstein game where you ride the top of the tram car. Remember that?
I don't think I played that one.
Oh, no. I forget which one it was. One of the Castle Wolfenstein. It's the way newer. I say newer. It's probably like 99 or 2000.
One of the 3D
versus
ones.
Wolfenstein 3. Yes, it was at least 3D, but it was you got to ride on top of a car to get into the castle. It's like it was the Eagle's Nest, dude. It was essentially you were doing the Eagle's Nest mission. It was fantastic.
Man, what a tangent,
dude! Big time.
Yeah,
we needed digressions tonight, didn't we? I told you I'd get them out there.
I think you hit your quota, sir. The seer said, "I want Caladan brood. I want his hammer delivered into my hands. I want the Malazans annihilated. I want the Barghast gods groveling at my feet. But most of all, I want the Grey Swords. Is that understood? I want that man, Ikovian. Then I will have a replacement for my mother. Thus, hear me well. If you seek mercy for Tok the Younger, bring to me Ikovian, alive." Ultentha said, "It will be as you will, Holy One." Man, Ikovian really pissed the seer off.
Yeah.
Was there something specific that caused this outside of Ikovian being a central figure in defending Kapustan?
Well, do you think it has to do with the loss of an Astra? Now, I know Ikovian did not do the actual, shrieking, when you bear the man's sins for them or whatever, but the other one did. But I don't know, maybe just because maybe just because they just withstood them eventually. Tennis guy were on the run. I have no idea he just needs to be angry at somebody.
That's a good theory, actually, as well. It might be the combination of all of the things.
Right.
Ikovian is the face of the failure at Kapustan.
Oh yeah, the failure for the
Panions,
Daman.
right? So he's the cause of the Daman's failure. is what I meant to say.
And they keep pointing this out amongst the Malazans, showing such reverence to him. And he sees it as failure, but they see him as just like, dude, they're blown away by this guy. So I guess all that stuff we don't really see, but that is being impressed upon the Malazans for the good, is the exact opposite to the seer.
That's well said. Good job. Talk thought, it will be as he wills. He is my God. What he wills, all that he wills. The wolf cannot breathe. The wolf is dying. We are dying. The seer asked, and where is the enemy now, Ultentha? Ultentha said, they have indeed divided 2 days past, since they crossed the river. The seer said, yet are they not aware that the cities they march towards are dead? Ultentha said, so their great ravens must have reported, Holy One. The seer asked, then what are they up to? Ultentha said, we are unsure. Your winged ones dare not draw too close. Their presence is yet to be noted, I believe, and best we keep it that way. The seer said, agreed. Well, perhaps they imagine we have set traps, hidden troops, or some such thing, and fear a surprise attack from behind should they simply ignore the cities. Ultentha said, we are granted more time by their caution, Holy One. The seer said, they are fools, swollen with the victory at Kapustan. Ultentha said, indeed, Holy One, for which they will dearly pay.
You'll pay for that.
Talk thought, everyone pays.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
No one escapes. I thought I was safe. The wolf was a power unto himself. I'm sorry. Every time I hear that now.
It's like the greater good.
Yes. Okay, so he comes up to me the other day. This is my youngest. And he goes, Dad, if you get scared half to death twice, you're dead.
Well,
and I said, well, that's an interesting thought. And I said, yeah, I said mathematically, I said, well, you'd only be half alive. So if you half, you'd be a quarter alive. And he's like, no, you'd be dead. And then he just walked out. He wasn't hearing it.
No, you'd just be dead. I love it, dude. I love it. It's amazing. Oh.
Talk thought, everyone pays. No one escapes. I thought I was safe. The wolf was a power unto himself, stretching awake. He was where I fled to. But the wolf chose the wrong man, the wrong body. When he came down to take my eye, that flash of gray, burning, that I'd thought a stone, I'd been whole, young, sound. But the matron has me now. Old skin sloughing from her massive arms, the smell of abandoned snake pits, the twitch of her embrace, and bones break and break again. There has been so much pain. It's thunder endless of late. I have felt her panic. As the seer has said, this is what has taken my mind. This is what has destroyed me. Better I had stayed destroyed. Better my memories never returned. Knowledge is no gift. Cursed aware, lying here on this cold floor. The softly surging waves of pain receding. I can no longer feel my legs. I smell salt, dust, and mold. There is weight on my left hand. It is pinned beneath me, and now grows numb. I wish I could move. It's really bad. Can't feel his legs and barely able to breathe, even without the matron crushing him. Can't even move from the arm that's pinned under him. That's
I know it.
Basically a quadriplegic, but he can feel pain still.
Yeah. If he had the strength, he might be able to move, but he's just, it's awful, dude. This is a core memory and a core hatred for what has been done to Talk here, man. It's always eats at me. It's a real horror show, dude. It's really a real nasty thing. Imagine having your worst enemy just keep you alive by torturing you and bringing you back, torturing you, bringing you back, torturing you. Mm-hmm. It's awful.
Separately, I'm not sure what an abandoned snake pit smells like, but I hope I never find out. No, thank you.
Let's ask Indiana Jones.
You know what?
Why did it have to be snakes? It's like...
That came to mind. The first thing I thought of was, I wonder what, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, that room with all those snakes smells like.
Disgusting.
It's not abandoned, but I'm sure it smells similar.
Yeah. Snakes, man. I had a roomie that had a python, and there's a definite funk to them. And it's... I don't really know how to describe it either. I don't want to describe it because, first off, I'm a mammal. I don't like reptiles in the house. Sorry. I'm for fellow mammals being in the house. Some of the lower life forms I'm all right sharing with the cats or whatnot. But, dude, snakes, no, they just don't belong in the house. but a pit of those things, oh. And then, like I said, even though it's abandoned, it's, how things always leave even if it was somewhat aired out, it'd still be there, imprinted.
Yeah, I think of snake skins, the molted skin left behind, and that drying up and smelling a certain way.
Oh, yeah. You got that. Just the fact that, and how they eat and discard of their waste is a different thing altogether, too.
Yeah.
And so, you got that nastiness going on there. So.
Oltentha was saying, "Salt the bodies. There's no shortage. Scurvy's taken so many of the Teniscauri. It's all our troops can do to gather the corpses, Holy One." The seer said, "Mundane diseases will not take the soldiers, Oltentha. I have seen this in a dream. The mistress walked among the Teniscauri, and lo, their flesh swelled. Their fingers and toes rotted and turned black. Their teeth fell out in streams of red spit. But when she came upon my chosen warriors, I saw her smile, and she turned away." The seer Daman asked, "Holy One, why would Poliel bless our cause?" The seer said, "I know not, nor do I care. Perhaps she has had her own vision of the glory of our triumph, or perhaps she simply begs favor. Our soldiers will be hale, and once the invaders are destroyed, we can begin our march once more, to new cities, new lands, and there grow fat on the spoils." So that's once again confirmation that the crippled god is behind the corruption of this empire. Poliel has joined his cause.
Yeah, and it's that kind of seems to trouble Seer Daman. I mean, I now like the fact that he has enough of a conscience to be bothered by, like, wait a minute, why would Poliel bless us?
If you look at this from his perspective, the Panyan Seer is everything, right? They're worshiping the Panyan Seer. They're not thinking of any alliances, or probably don't even know what's underneath all of this.
Yes.
So if something's twisting the Seer, they don't know about that. They're worshiping the Seer directly, and they don't care about anybody else. So I could see how that could be confusing.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that opens up something there.
Maybe.
Let's see. We shall see, sir.
Tok thought, "The invaders, among them my kin. I was Tok the Younger, a Malazan, and the Malazans are coming." The laugh that came from his throat began softly, a liquid sound, then grew louder as it continued. The conversation fell silent. The sound he made was the only one in the chamber. The seer's voice spoke from directly above him. "And what amuses you so, Tok the Younger? Can you speak? Ah, haven't I asked you that once before?" Breath wheezing, Tok answered, "I speak, but you do not hear me. You never hear me." The seer said, "Indeed?" Tok said, "One arm's host, seer. The deadliest army the Malazan Empire has ever produced. It's coming for you." The seer asked, "And I should quake?" Tok laughed again and said, "Do as you like, but your mother knows."
Ooh.
The seer said, "You think she fears your stupid soldiers? I forgive your ignorance, Tok the Younger. Dear mother, it must be explained, has ancient terrors. Moon's spawn. But let me be more precise, so as to prevent your further misunderstanding. Moon's spawn is now home to the Tistandi and their dreaded lord, but they are as lizards in an abandoned temple. They dwell unaware of the magnificence surrounding them. Dear mother cannot be reached by such details, alas. She is little more than instinct these days, the poor, mindless thing. The Jagut remember Moon's spawn. I alone am in possession of the relevant scrolls from Gothos Folly that whisper of the Kachain Naruk, the short tales, misbegotten children of the matrons, who fashioned mechanisms that bound sorcery in ways long lost, who built vast, floating fortresses from which they launched devastating attacks upon their long-tailed kin. Oh, they lost in the end, were destroyed, and but one floating fortress remained, damaged, abandoned to the winds. Gothos believed it had drifted north to collide with the ice of a Jagut winter, and was so frozen, trapped for millennia, until found by the Tist-Andi Lord. Do you comprehend, Tok the Younger? Animander Rake knows nothing of Moonspawn's fullest powers he has no means of accessing even were he to know of them. Dear mother remembers, or at least some part of her does. Of course she has nothing to fear. Moonspawn is not within 200 leagues of here. My winged ones have searched for it, high overhead, through the warrens, everywhere. The only conclusion is that Moonspawn has fled, or failed at last. Was it not almost destroyed over Pale? So you've told me. So you see, Tok the Younger, your Malazan army holds no terror for any of us, including dear mother. One Arm's host will be crushed in the assault on Coral, as will Brood and his Reeve. Moreover, the White Faces will be shattered. They've not the discipline for this kind of war. I will have them all, and I will feed you bits of Dujek One Arm's flesh. You'd like some meat again, wouldn't you? Something that hasn't been regurgitated. Yes? Man, he sure likes the sound of his own voice, doesn't he? That's a classic villain monologue right there.
Not just any classic villain. That's a classic Bond villain move. Loves the sound of his own voice. Got to tell you how he's going to make it happen right down to the exhaust port on the Death Star, man.
Yeah. But I was pleased that we got more information on the Kachain Naruk, or the short tales, More specifically, how they use machinery and sorcery to create structures like Moonspawn.
Yes, I love that too. And I'm excited for the next book. The next Witness book comes out in November.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going to hesitate. That has some of the Jane Shamal and Jane the Rook stuff kind of mattered through there a little bit. It was really juicy.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything for you because I don't want to ruin anything for you. So.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, so I guess in about 5 years, I'll probably be able to read the trilogy.
Hopefully. I'm hoping it's that soon.
That'd be interesting. Finish out these series of books and then go straight into Witness.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Witness is good. I enjoyed the first one. I'm really excited about the second one.
Tok said nothing, even as his stomach clenched in visceral greed. The seer crouched lower and touched a fingertip to Tok's temple. He said, "It's so easy breaking you. All your faiths. One by one. Almost too easy. The only salvation you can hope for is mine," Tok the Younger. "You understand that now, don't you?" Tok said, "Yes." The seer said, "Very good. Pray then that there is mercy in my soul. True, I've yet to find any myself, though I admit I've little searched. But perhaps it exists. Hold to that, my friend." Tok said, "Yes." The seer straightened and said, "I hear my mother's cries. Take him back, Seer Daman." The Seer Daman said, "As you command, Holy One." Strong arms gathered Tok the Younger, lifted him with ease from the cold floor. He was carried from the room. In the hallway, the Seer Daman paused. He said, "Tok, listen to me, please. She's chained down below, and the reach does not encompass the entire room. Listen, I will set you down beyond her grasp. I will bring food, water, blankets. The seer will pay little heed to her cries, for she is always crying these days. Nor will he probe towards her mind. There are matters of far greater import consuming him." Tok said, "He will have you devoured, Seer Daman." The Seer Daman said, "I was devoured long ago, Malazan." Tok said, I am sorry for that." The man holding him said nothing for a long moment, and when he spoke at last, his voice cracked. You offer compassion. Abyss take me, Tok. I am ever surpassed. Allow to me, please, my small efforts." Tok said, "With gratitude, Seer Daman." The Seer Daman said, "Thank you." He set off once more. Tok said, "Tell me, Seer Daman, does the ice still grip the sea?" The Seer Daman said, "Not for at least a league, Tok. Some unexpected twist of the currents has cleared the harbor. But the storms still rage over the bay, and the ice out there still thunders and churns like 10,000 demons at war. Can you not hear it?" Tok said, "No." The Seer Daman said, I'll grant you it's faint from here. From the keep's causeway, it is a veritable assault." Tok said, I remember the wind." The Seer Daman said, "It no longer reaches us. Yet another wayward vagary for which I am thankful." Tok said, "In the matron's cave, there is no wind." I wonder what triggered this Seer Daman to begin feeling this way towards Tok. Was it seeing him suffer in such unimaginable ways?
It would have to be that. That also, like I said, I'm really going to go back to that statement about Palil. You know, something about having the plague goddess on your side kind of makes you go, oh.
Are we the bad guys?
Yeah, are we the wrong here? Are we maybe wrong? So, that's all I really got going. But then again, it's something in that the fact that this guy may accept the fact that they're pretty bad and rough. He may not care about morality as far as we see it, but maybe the fact that due to that, Tok offers him compassion.
Yeah.
A man who should be cursing him, spit on him, or whatever, is actually thankful, gracious, and expresses compassion. He said he humbled him. Basically, this was humbled by him right there, I believe. That was the final straw, I'll put it like that, if nothing else.
Yeah, I wonder what set him on the path. I guess it's probably a lot of things combined. The suffering of Tok, starting to see signs that maybe this society is not as healthy as it should be, and that there are things wrong here.
That, and also the fact that maybe also seeing that, crap, we're not going to be winning this. I thought we were going to win. You know, if that changes your outlook too, especially if you think you're on the winning team and you realize that, well, I don't think we're on the winning team here.
I would like to think that he's realizing that they're in the wrong and it's not about realizing they're going to lose. You know?
Yes, I
like,
hope so.
The part of me wants to think that this is like a redemption arc for this guy.
Yes, I hope so.
I always hope for the best in characters, but, you know, some of them disappoint. I'm not going to name any names. We're not going to even talk about it this week. But
okay. Moving along. Moving along.
Wood splintered, a sickening sound that trembled through the entire Mekros fragment. Lady Envy paused in her climb towards the street's ragged, torn end. The slope had grown suddenly steeper, the frost slick on the cobbles underfoot. She hissed in frustration, then drew on a warren and floated to where Lannis Togg stood on the very edge. That seems almost like a Mary Poppins image to me. I don't think we've seen much of this type of sorcery from her.
Yeah, because most of her stuff that we've seen, we don't really see a whole lot from her. We know she's out there landed on the line somehow, but the fact that she muses most on her appearance is one thing, but especially when you say it, it makes it very Mary Poppins. I can see her with the umbrella in her hand, floating up, just kind of floating up there. It's just perfect. I'm like, oh gosh, that's so funny. You nailed it so good.
Before you said this, I hadn't really put that connection together, that she's using sorcery to make herself look the way she does.
Yes.
My youngest is watching Naruto, and there's a lady that's 50 years old, and she uses her jitsu powers, I guess, is what they have, to make herself look like a 20-year-old.
Okay.
With your comment and that happening so close together, that really cements it for me. Like, wow, I never thought of her using her magic because she's so vain that she's using it to make herself look perfect. That's crazy.
She never has a hair out of place. Even when it's raining real hard, she's not getting rained on. I mean, it's like, Talk pointed that out a couple times. Like, she's not even getting wet, dude. It's like, that's a constant expenditure.
Every time she walks out, it's like what's the elf's name? The female in Lord of the Rings, when she comes out and she's like glowing and looks perfect. Liv Tyler's character.
Oh, yeah. Not Galadriel. It's Elrond's daughter. I forget her name.
But yeah, she's always looking...
Eowyn. Is it Eowyn?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Well, testing my knowledge, sir.
Just like this glow around her.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to comment about the last time we saw this group, Lady Envy stole a sickness from Polyel's warren and unleashed it on the Tenniscowry. And that's the one that got Gareth sick. And I wonder what her limitations are when it comes to sorcery. Is there a limit to it?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think using someone else's magic against them in a kind of magical jujitsu is pretty sick. And that's potent, by the way. That's potent, though. I mean, I'm curious to know what her levels are. It's so funny. Me and you're like me. We're RPG players, and so we want to see stats.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I want to see your stats. What level spell was this? What are the rules around it?
That's exactly.
I guess I do wonder at one thing here. So we're talking about Lady Envy. She said she stole the sickness from Polyel's warren. Then the seer is saying he saw Polyel unleash that on the Tenniscowry, but it stopped at his soldiers. I wonder which of those is true, or if both are true.
That's a good question there, sir. Because they could both be true.
Yeah, different Tenniscowry groups.
Because she did something that made Gareth sick, and it made Mock call her out on it and say, you better fix this, or we're going to have some words.
Yeah. Lannis Togg did not so much as sway on her perilous perch. Wind ripped at her tattered skins and bone-white hair. The sword still impaling her glistened with rime. And I really like this imagery. One of the loading screens in Elden Ring has this frost giant frozen in place and covered in rime, and this seems very similar to me because the frost giant's kind of skeletal looking, and there's all these icicles hanging off of it in the wintry area. And Lannis Togg here, they're on an iceberg basically, floating through a storm. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that is great imagery. And it evokes a lot of stuff. Frank Frazetta, he did a lot of Conan work, especially for a certain era of book covers. And a lot of the real famous stuff, the Death Dealer art and stuff like that was Frazetta. And he had some really great Frost Giant artwork that always jumps to mind.
I wonder if he did the Manowar cover for one of their albums. This is very barbarian imagery.
That is almost more Boris Vallejo.
Okay.
He also did a lot of the Conan stuff. He had the women with the real exposed, a lot of butt.
The heavy metal type stuff.
Yes, very heavy metal stuff. But Boris Vallejo's classic heavy metal guy. I love Vallejo. But Frazetta, I'll find you some stuff before the show's over and reference it just to show you.
Okay.
His stuff, I love his stuff. You know the Molly Hatchet album covers?
No.
Okay, never mind. It's funny. I do not like Molly Hatchet the band, but they have these Frazetta art covers that it's like I would have almost bought the album just for the album cover, but it's like, I don't really like Molly Hatchet.
I'm getting I hate the Eagles, man.
I hate the Eagles, man. It's the Eagles. Pre-Joe Walsh. Until Joe Walsh, I'm not an Eagles guy. Yeah. not the Eagles, man.
Reaching her side, Lady Envy saw more clearly the source of the terrible snapping sounds. A vast section of ice had collided with them, was grinding its way along the base in a foaming sluice of jetting water and spraying ice. Lady Envy muttered, "Dear me, it seems we are ever pushed westward." Lannis Tog said, "Yet we drive towards land nonetheless, and that is sufficient." Lady Envy said, 20 leagues from Coral by this course, and all of it wilderness, assuming my memories of the region's map are accurate. I was so weary of walking, alas. Have you seen our abode yet? Apart from the canting floor and alarming views through the windows, it is quite sumptuous. I cannot abide discomfort, you know. Lannis Tog made no reply, continued staring northwestward. Lady Envy sniffed and said, "You're all alike. It took weeks to get Tool in a conversational mood." Lannis Tog said, "You have mentioned the name earlier. Who is Tool?" Lady Envy said, "Onos Tool Lan, First Sword. The last time I saw him, he was even more bedraggled than you, dear, so there's hope for you yet." Lannis Tog said, "Onos Tool Lan. I saw him but once." Lady Envy said, "The first gathering, no doubt." Lannis Tog said, "Yes, he spoke against the ritual." Lady Envy said, "So, of course you hate him." Lannis Tog did not immediately reply. The structure shifted wildly beneath them, their end pitching down as the flow punched clear, then lifting upward once more. There was not even a waver to Lannis Tog's stance. She spoke. "Hate him? No. Of course I disagreed. We all did, and so he acquiesced. It is a common belief." Lady Envy waited, then crossed her arms and asked, "What is?" Lannis Tog said, "That truth is proved by weight of numbers. That what the many believe to be right must be so. When I see Onos Tool Lan once more, I will tell him he was the one who was right." This ideology sounds a lot like the outcome of the Ash conformity experiments. Solomon Ash's experiments involved groups of participants where most were actors and one was the actual subject. The participants were asked to perform a simple task, matching the length of lines on a card. The Confederates, or the actors, were instructed to give unanimously incorrect answers on certain trials, and Ash wanted to see if the real participant would conform to the group's wrong answers. The results showed that a significant number of participants conformed to the incorrect majority opinion, even though the correct answer was obvious. This experiment highlighted the powerful influence of group pressure and the tendency of individuals to conform to social norms, even when it goes against their own judgment. Imagine trying to turn the tide against taking the vow.
Wow. Must have been vast indeed. For him, he didn't succeed.
He didn't really try to, right? If they have this ideology that, well, the majority believes this to be the truth, it is so. You're not even really supposed to speak out against it.
Yeah, I guess you just accept the ruling.
And it also surprised me that even though Tool took the vow, he seemed to agree with Kalava prior to accepting the consensus view.
Yeah, and that is very intriguing. And but what you mentioned with this stuff at the Ash conformity experiment there, I wonder if is that similar to kind of the stuff leading up to what happened in Germany, leading up to World War II?
I don't know. Part of me thinks that people are afraid, in some cases, to speak up.
Yeah. World War II was so different, the fact that there was a perfect storm that led to Hitler and the rise of that because of the depression over there.
Yeah. So you get increased nationalism. So, yes. I mean, it's a really complex thing.
It was very complex. But, I mean, I'm assuming that at some point when it becomes pretty obvious that when we're doing this stuff that's usually societally incorrect, but we're doing it now because we're saying it's okay because we're doing it as a state, there had to be a bunch of folks going, I'm pretty sure this is not the right thing to do, but you know what? We're okay. I'm okay with that right now.
You know what's interesting to me, though? And I guess the thing is it has to be factually obvious, but I think of flat earthers here.
Okay.
The reason is some people would be like, well, see, to me, the world isn't obviously round. And so some people might think that it's obvious that the world is flat, is all I'm saying. And
sure.
It appears that you can have a consensus view that is truly accurate, and then sometimes it's something that we just haven't learned enough information about to think differently.
Yeah, I agree.
Theoretical physics and various other topics come to mind where they're constantly changing different theories on how the universe works.
Trying to redefine nothing and things like that, right? And you mean inventing whole... I'm sorry.
Nothing? Did you say nothing?
Did you say nothing? We believe in nothing, Lebowski. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just had to get that out. It's like Tourette's. Once it happens, it's like I just have to get that out. Sorry. Thank you.
Lady Envy said, I don't think he holds a grudge, Lannis Tog. I suppose, thinking on it, that makes him unique among the Talani mass, doesn't it? Lannis Tog said, he is the first sword. Lady Envy said, I have had yet another equally frustrating conversation with Mok. I'd been wondering, you see, why he and his brothers have not challenged you to combat yet. Both Senu and Thurul have fought Tul, and lost. Mok was next. Turns out the Segula will not fight women unless attacked. So, by way of warning, do not attack them. And I thought that was really interesting. I wonder how that works with the women in the ranks of the Segula. Are the lower-ranked men not allowed to challenge higher-ranked females?
Do we know that their Segula have women in the ranks?
They do.
Okay, so if they do, that must not apply to the Segula.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So non-Segula women, they will not challenge. Yeah, but if you're Segula, okay, that makes more sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
Makes a lot more sense.
Because I wasn't sure.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if we had ranks women. Because if there's women, that would make it impossible. They would just run the show. You can't duel me.
Okay, that's why I was confused.
Yeah, okay.
Makes more sense that it's non-Segula women.
Okay.
Lannis Tog said, I have no reason to, Lady Envy. Should I find one, however? Lady Envy said, all right, I'll be more direct. Tul was hard-pressed by both Senu and Thurul. Against Mok, well, it was probably even. Are you a match to the first sword, Lannis Tog? If you truly seek to reach the second gathering in one piece, to deliver your message, then show some restraint. Iron grated against bone as Lannis Tog shrugged. Lady Envy sighed, then said, now, which is more depressing? Attempting civil conversation with you in the Segula, or staring into the suffering eyes of a wolf? I cannot even comment on Gareth's mood, for the beast still seems upset with me. Lannis Tog said, the A has awakened. Lady Envy said, I know, and truly my heart weeps on her behalf, or at least on behalf of the miserable goddess residing within her. Then again, they both deserve a few tears, don't they? An eternity alone for the not-quite-mortal A cannot have been fun, after all. Lannis Tog turned her head and asked, who has granted the beast this edged gift? Lady Envy shrugged, smiling with delight at the opportunity to return such a gesture. She said, a misguided sibling who'd thought he was being kind. All right, perhaps that was too simplistic an answer. My sibling had found the goddess, terribly damaged by the fall, and needed a warm-blooded place to lay her spirit, so that it could heal. Serendipity. The A's pack was dead, while she herself was too young to survive in normal circumstances. Worse yet, she was the last left on the entire continent. Lannis Tog said, your sibling has a misplaced sense of mercy, Lady Envy. Lady Envy said, I agree. We have something in common after all. How wonderful. A moment later, as she studied the Talani mass at her side, her effusiveness drained away and she muttered, oh, what a distressing truth that proved to be. Lannis Tog returned her gaze to the tumultuous panorama stretching away to the northwest. She said, most truths are. Lady Envy ran her hands through her hair and said, well, I think I'll head down and stare into a wolf's miserable eyes for a time, just to improve my mood, you understand. You know, at least Tul had a sense of humor. Lannis Tog said, he is the first sword. Muttering under her breath as she made her way back down the street, slippered feet barely brushing the icy cobbles. Lady Envy only paused when she reached the entrance to the house and said, oh, that was quite funny, in an odd way. Well, how extraordinary.
So, does that take us right to the beginning of the book? That's the A. That was, when all this stuff was over here, that ties us back to the beginning of that book again, doesn't it?
The way I interpreted this is the female they're talking about. At the beginning of the book, it was the male.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
He was in the Chaos Warren, and he found a body. We know now it's Talk.
Right.
Talk got thrown into the Chaos Warren by, what's his name?
Hairlock.
I was about to say Shylock. By Hairlock. And Talk was in there, and then I guess that's when the wolf found a way to get out of there.
Very cool.
Crone hopped about in a fury. I love that we haven't seen her in ages, and the first thing we get is her hopping about in a fury.
I love it. And it's such a drama queen.
Oh, yeah. She's really going over the top. Brood stood watching the great raven. Off to one side was Corlat. Lingering a half-dozen paces away was Calor. The army marched in wide ranks down the raised road to their left, whilst to their right, at a distance of 2,000 paces, rumbled the herd of Veteran. There were fewer of the beasts, Corlat noted. The crossing had claimed hundreds. A shrill hiss from Crone recaptured her wandering attention. The great raven had half spread her wings, halting directly in front of Brood. She shouted, "You still do not grasp the gravity of this! Fool! Ox! Where is Animander Rake? Tell me! I must speak with him! Warn him!" Brood asked, "Of what? That a few hundred condors have chased you away?" Crone exclaimed, "Unknown sorcery hides within those abominable vultures. We are being deliberately kept away, you brainless thug," Calor dryly said, "from Coral and environs. We've just come in sight of Lest, Crone, one thing at a time." Crone said, "Stupid! Do you think they're just sitting on their hands? They're preparing." Calor sneered down at Crone and drawled, "Of course they are. What of it?" Crone said, "What's happened to Moonspawn? We know what Rake planned. Has it succeeded? I cannot reach it. I cannot reach him. Where is Moonspawn?" No one spoke. Crone's head darted down. She said, "You know less than I, don't you? All this is bravado. We are lost." She wheeled to pin Corlat with her glittering black eyes and said, "Your lord has failed, hasn't he? And taken 3/4 of the Tistandi with him. Will you be enough, Corlat? Will you?" Brood rumbled, "Crone, we'd asked for word on the Malazans, not a list of your fears." Crone said, "The Malazans? They march. What else would they do? Endless wagons on the road, dust everywhere, closing on Seta, which is empty but for a handful of sun-withered corpses." Calor grunted, then said, "They're making a swift passage of it, then, as if in a hurry. Warlord, there is deceit here." Brood scowled and crossed his arms. He said, "You heard the bird, Calor. The Malazans march. Faster than we'd expected, true, but that is all." Calor grated, "You dissemble." Ignoring him, Brood faced Crone once more and said, "Have your kin keep an eye on them. As for what's happening at Coral, we'll worry about it when we reach Marek and reunite our forces. Finally, regarding your master, Animander Rake, have faith, Crone." Crone said, "Upon faith you hold to success? Madness! We must prepare for the worst!" This is truly surprising coming from Crone. A creature of her age would seemingly have a more tempered means of processing this situation.
That's just the stress talking, dude. She's been run out of Seta and Last, I'm guessing, and by the great condors, and who knows whatever else she's been dealing with and doing all her intelligence work for Rake and Brood. So I guess she's allowed a moment to kind of melt down and kind of tell everyone what she's been doing for them.
Okay. Corlat's attention drifted once more. It had been doing that a lot of late. She'd forgotten what love could do, as it threaded its roots through her entire soul, as it tugged and pulled at her thoughts, obsession ripening like seductive fruit. She felt only its life, thickening within her, claiming all she was. Fears for her lord and her kin seemed almost inconsequential. If truly demanded, she could attempt her warren, reach him via the paths of Curald Galain. But there was no urgency within her to do any such thing. This war would find its own path. Her wants were held, one and all, in the eyes of a man. A mortal, of angled, edged nobility. A man past his youth. A soul layered in scars. Yet he had surrendered it to her. Almost impossible to believe. She recalled her first sight of him up close. She had been standing with the Mybe and Silver Fox, the child's hand in her own. He had ridden towards the place of parley at Dujek's side, a soldier whose name she had already known as a feared enemy, whose tactical prowess had defied Brood time and again, despite the odds against the Malazans' poorly supplied, numerically weakened forces. Even then, he had been as a lodestone to her eye. Not just hers alone, she realized. Her lord had called him friend. The rarity of such a thing still threatened to steal her breath. Animander Rake, in all the time she'd known him, had acknowledged but one friend, and that was Caladan Brood. And between those two men, thousands of years of shared experiences, an alliance never broken. Countless clashes, it was true, but not once a final, irretrievable sundering. The key to that, Corlat well understood, lay in their maintaining a respectable distance from each other, punctuated by the occasional convergence. All right, so I guess no road trips cooped up in a carriage together.
I can almost imagine a movie poster for some buddy road trip movie with Rake and Brood. When you say that, that's too funny.
That is another t-shirt idea. Let me make a note here. Yeah, that's actually really good, Billy. Brood and Rake road trip.
That's like more akin to a Guardians of the Galaxy film. You don't want to talk about.
So like Trigal Trade Guild.
Right. Yeah.
It was, Corlat believed, a relationship that would never be broken. And from it, after centuries, had been born a friendship. Yet Rake had shared but a few evenings in Whiskey Jack's company. Conversations of an unknown nature had taken place between them, and it had been enough. Corlat thought. Something in each of them has made them kin in spirit, yet even I cannot see it. Animander Rake cannot be reached out to, cannot be so much as touched, not his true self. I have never known what lies behind my lord's eyes. I have but sensed its vast capacity, but not the flavor of all that it contains. But Whiskey Jack, my dear mortal lover, while I cannot see all that is within him, I can see the cost of containment, the bleeding, but not the wound, and I can see his strength, even the last time when he was so weary. And this to me shows just how extraordinary a person Whiskey Jack is. For him to be the second individual Rake has ever called a friend, as long as Corlat has known him, is wild.
It's absolutely mind-blowing. Very touching. It really hits me. It just makes you wonder, there's so much more about Whiskey Jack. I want to know more about this guy because he is just someone that's so short-lived compared to someone that's been alive 300,000 years to, over a couple nights, gain his respect and friendship. It's pretty wild, dude.
I think it's the way he decided to talk to Rake. He just didn't hide anything from him, right? He was very candid.
Oh, yeah. No blood. He just talks. Yeah.
I think that honesty went a long way with Rake.
That just kind of treated like one of the fellas. It was just like, so what? It's like, so you're Rake. I think that's what Whiskey Jack's got right there. It's like, I'm hanging out with Animander Rake. Yeah, whatever. It's just Rake, dude. It's just kind of like, dude, and Rake likes that. He needs to be reminded of that.
Yeah. Directly south, the old walls of Lest were visible. There was no sign that repairs had been made since the Panyan conquest. The air above the city was clear of smoke, empty of birds. The Revi scouts had reported that there was not but a few charred bones littering the streets. There had been raised gardens once, for which Lest had been known, but the flow of water had ceased weeks past, and the fire had since swept through the city. Even at this distance, Corlat could see the dark stains of soot on the walls. Crone moaned, "Devastation! This is the tale before us, all the way to Marek, whilst our alliance disintegrates before our eyes." Oh my god, she's so dramatic. She's going overboard.
Well, Krupp's not here, so someone has to over-emote.
Brood's frown deepened. He rumbled, "It does nothing of the sort." Crone said, "Oh, and where is Silver Fox? What has happened to the Maib? Why do the Grey Swords and Trake's legion march so far behind us? Why were the Malazans so eager to leave our sides? And now Animander Rake and Moonspawn have vanished. The Tistandi..." Corlat's patience finally frayed. She cut in, "Are alive." Crone wheeled on her and asked, "Are you certain?" Corlat nodded. She thought, "Yet, am I? No. Shall I then seek them out? No. We shall see what is to be seen at Coral. That is all." Her gaze slowly swung westward. She thought, "And you, my dear lover, thief of all my thoughts, will you ever release me? Please, do not. Ever." We are going to stop there, and we will continue the chapter next week. For standout moments, the Seerdaman attempting to help end Tok's misery. That was really touching. Again, this guy, yes. The last chapter he was with us, and then this, I'm starting to like him a little bit.
Yeah, it is very moving to see, because from what we've seen of these old boys, they've been very callous, because they've been trained to be that way by the seer, by the setting up of this cannibalistic society. But this guy's kind of moving against programming. And I think we always like when someone starts thinking for themselves.
Akovian being the greatest focus of the seer's ire. That's interesting. He's getting all of it.
Yeah, all the hatred, man. So a question then. Whose ire is it really? Is it the Panyans or is it the crippled god's ire?
I think it's the Panyan seers.
Okay.
I think the Panyan seer is being charged up by the crippled god.
Right.
He's being corrupted and given more power, but I don't think the crippled god has that level of influence to where he's possessing him. I think it's really the Jagut.
Yeah, just it's out of his ever-loving mind.
Yes, Mr. Dictator.
Yeah.
Finding out that Tool originally spoke out against the vow.
That was very surprising. I was very kind of struck by that because his sister apparently spoke against it too and didn't even participate. But she's still alive.
Yeah. Given how we had that scene where they met earlier, and it was kind of painful, that reunion.
Yeah.
The fact that they were actually in alignment originally surprises me here.
It does.
Which makes it even more tragic, actually. She rejected the consensus while he had to go with it.
He agreed with her, but went with it. He was mad that she didn't acquiesce.
I guess vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That cuts both ways.
Crone's complete meltdown over not knowing where Moonspawn is. I mean, a full crash out.
That's hysterical. We've seen her fuss through a few books now, but man, this is the biggest.
But this is the king, yeah.
Yeah, this is the man. She's just melting down bad, baby. It's like she needs to see Rake badly. Apparently, he means more to her than he realizes.
He's like soothing.
Yeah, apparently so. Want to keep her chilled out.
He's her safety dog or whatever.
It's probably more to that than you realize. He's her master, so I mean, I'm sure there is something to that.
Yeah. And then finally, Corlat really falling for Whiskey Jack. I can't help but think how complex of a situation that is given her long lifespan and his short lifespan in comparison.
Well, this is going to be complex, isn't it?
The heart wants what the heart wants, Billy.
I understand. The heart wants what the heart wants is true. That's a fact. It's not a good thing. It just is what it is.
All right, great job tonight.
Hey, man, it's a really good episode, man.
You got any final thoughts before we drop off here?
I just like that we heard about the short tails. Is it the first that we've heard of them? The Kachane Naruk?
I think we've heard of them before, but we got more info about them.
Yeah. For some reason, they are, I think, now this is all just trying to look back in retrospect on all the books that we've read so far. For some reason, I think I'm more fascinated by them because he's been so stingy with the info on it. So I guess he's done such a great job of making me want to know more about them.
As usual.
As usual.
Usual drip feed of delicious treats. And then
yes. Yeah, these guys fascinate me for some reason. There are all kinds of reasons, man. I'm looking forward to learn more about it.
Part of it is the Kachane Shamal, the ones we've seen so far, are so scary. And they're having this civil war with these short tails. You just have to wonder, what could make her so scared? What type of enemy are we talking about here?
Were they like nuking each other essentially? What kind of stuff was going on here? It's like,
I don't know.
Lots of time has passed.
We don't have enough.
I know it. We got nothing, dude. We got nothing. I take that back. Is the one thing that we know in some of the Warrens where we've found some devices, aren't those hinted at being Kachane Shamal?
Maybe.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was spelled out directly or if it was something that said that one time that there was something that said this is very much like this or something. I don't know. So fascinating stuff, though, as always.
Trying to remember back through 3 years to that reference. We'd have to go back and do some searching and see where that popped up.
Right on.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
And we'll see y'all next week.
We thank you all for joining us today.
Again, we really like to thank you for taking the time to be with us, and we've had a really great time talking about the topic today.
If you would like to support our show, you can find us at horsefrogproductions.com, where you can find our Patreon link. Depending on the platform you're listening from, it may also be in the episode description.
And if you'd like to contact us through email, it's at contact@horsefrogproductions.com.